Ivan, here we are. Paragraph was just telling us that, and I'm sure you've also looked at the ruling. Fortunately, Julius has a legal background too, so that helps the conversation too, just as yourself. He's I think, making the point now that the reason for which Chairman Wontumi was jailed was because of political motives.
Yeah.
That's the impression being created. He says, well, in fact, if you look at it, that's the reality. And he's not talking about what's on paper.
I think that is his reality, because the reality is quite obvious. And you see, these are misguided partisan sentiments that you expect from people. Because you see, I am disappointed because the self-acclaimed friends and loyalists of Chairman Wontumi, they didn't help him, because when the gentleman was going around town messing up, doing all the excesses that generated a lot of conversation in this particular country, that was the time their wise counsel was needed in order to take him away from the arena of where he got himself into. So for me, I think it's quite obvious, because a sentence has been handed over to him, and some of these political reactions are quite obvious, and I'm sure everybody expects that at least such comment to be coming. But my point is that the judgment has been given. If you are criticizing the judgment and everything, you need to premise the argument maybe on some of the decisions that the judge actually made in the ruling. If you premise the discussion on any of the reasons as outlined in the judgment, then you can activate a sort of intellectual conversation that will help the conversation. But this raw, misguided, unrefined partisan comment, like the one Kodua's famous, press conference. He was reading the press conference at the time he had not even had the benefit of reading the judgment. So you ask yourself, this is a lawyer. What actually was he saying? Because the hollowness of his argument, the hollowness of his argument bears this particular fact that indeed he did not actually read the judgment, but he was rather making...
What's hollow about what the General Secretary said? That Wontumi is not a politician?
No,
if you're a politician and you end up in jail, what do you become?
No. He becomes a political prisoner when he was not actually...
No, I'm asking you.
Okay.
If you are a politician and you end up in prison,
yes,
how do we describe you?
No. You see, it is the impression he's seeking to create. So this is a political arena.
This is quite a
No. You see, the political prisoner seek to take a certain connotation, but he was not guilty. But because somebody wanted him in jail, the reason why resources and everything was marshaled to put him in jail. My point is that this is a lawyer. If you're speaking to such a fundamental issue, you need to pontificate exactly what actually went wrong in the judgment. You understand? The judge, based on this, that. Again, if you do that, then
he says there was no evidence. I'm just quoting him.
That is laughable. Let me start with this whole thing. You see, if you look at, first of all, let me sympathize with Wontumi and the family, because I have a basic principle that you don't punch a man who is already on the ground. You need to conserve that energy and look to the passive onlookers. You have to be very alert, and that is exactly what you're doing. So for Wontumi, he's gone. But if you look at this whole thing, I think his lawyers underestimated the gravity of the charges that was handed over to Wontumi. They underestimated it, and by the time they realized, things were late. For instance, if you look at this particular act, that is the Act 703. Yes. I'm saying that it is an uncompromising legislative weapon. An uncompromising legislative weapon. It has been
targeted at who? Chairman?
Targeted at everybody. Because if you can read the 98.
I don't know if I'll be able to get that right now for you. But let me check. Let me just check if I can get that for you.
99-2B.
Yeah.
If you have it,
let me just try. Okay, I think. Is that on the offense and practice?
Yes, the person who acts. Yes, the person who acts.
It says, this is 99. We're reading from the Mining and Minerals Act. 99 is saying that a person, and I'm just reading from the document, a person who buys or sells minerals. No, not that one.
The 2B.
Yeah, 2B actually. Okay, so 99 2B. A person who, without a license granted by the minister, undertakes a mining operation contrary to the provisions of this act, acts or instigates right?
The B.
That's 2B.
Yes.
So we are now into B.
Yes.
First, if you mine illegally,
yes.
then B is saying that if you act or instigate or command, right?
Yes.
You counsel someone or procure or you solicit.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Or you promote in any way the act that, the contravention of the act, that's mining illegally, then you'll be found short of the law. That's what 99.2 is saying. So is that the
yes. So it's a weapon because you don't need to personally get yourself engaged in illegal mining activities.
However, if you
cancel, you aid, you facilitate, you do anything, not about galamsey, but that will contravene any of the provisions therein, you are liable under that particular section.
So liability even comes up once you sort of suggest to someone.
Exactly.
Can you see this concession?
Exactly. Right. Any act that will contravene any of the provisions in the entire act, you come liable under 99. That is how dangerous this whole thing is. So you are a lawyer. Your client has been charged under such a serious law. You need to prepare adequately. The prosecution did a good job by converting the criminal actors in this whole enterprise into prosecution witness. And so what it meant was that they were going to give inside information to prove that particular case. So the Wontumi lawyers waited after the prosecution has done whatever that they were supposed to do. They filed for had a submission of no case, seeking to trivialize the entire the prosecution case. Actually, this is high. There is no substance. So by the time that particular option was taken down by the judge, then they caught them unprepared. Then you need to, about that time, prepare.
You mean to say that they were hoping that at least they would create a barrier?
Exactly, because they were seeking to say that, this whole case, it's not important case, so throw it away. So by the time the judge said, no, you have something to answer, then it was too late for them. So if you look at the way and manner the defense went on, the people they called, actually they ended up calling mining experts instead of key witnesses who will come and help Wontumi's case. And again, when they started, they wasted a lot of time on frivolous stuff. For instance, if you look at section 14.1, that talks about assign, transfer, mortgage. What they forget is that if you look at that particular bill, below it, there is another provision that talks about encumbered or dealt with. You see, that is a sieve. People might want to look at the legislation and look at, I am not assigning, I am not mortgaging, and I am not transferring. But the framers of the law did it in such a way that they use a residual phrase that will catch any other consideration that will not fall within either assignment, mortgage, or transfer.
But you see, the point they are making there is that that needs constitutional interpretation.
No,
which the judge lacks some.
No. That was not even what he was asking. What he was asking for constitutional interpretation, I'll come. And you understand how frivolous that particular thing was. So they wasted time.
No, but the assignment is part of their contention. And I've heard Afuakwa and some of the other lawyers adduce, come up with that. Their point is that what's the evidence that indeed
there was an assignment,
carrying out an assignment that's defined in the law. That's the
but you see, the law is not specifically saying assignment. It's talking about mortgage, transfer, or transfer, mortgage, or assign.
Without the permission of the
without the permission, then any other thing incumbent or dealt with. That is the residual phrase, catching any other dealings, because people might want to look at the law and seek to escape. But the framers brought this particular net that any other act that do not fall within any of the three descriptions will be caught by the residual phrase. And that is exactly what the judge based on. And again, they were asking for evidence of transfer. We are talking about a clandestine arrangement between two people in a criminal enterprise who ask somebody to go and kill, and then they execute documents. Have you ever seen that particular thing before? Has somebody procured somebody to go and commit a crime and they execute documents? Is it reasonable to make such an argument?
This is no matter here. No one is being killed here.
So I'm saying that per the sections I've read to you,
mining. How relatable?
No, they are relatable because
the if crime is being committed, but not all crimes are the same.
But this is a criminal. arrangement.
I'm telling you that not all crimes are the same.
I understand they are not the same, but this is a criminal arrangement.
You can't equate killing to mining.
No, it's just an example. But I'm saying that this is a criminal undertaking. Two people are seeking to commit.
So they won't document.
Exactly, you understand? And the law does not even specifically say transfer. So they wasted my time on transfer, on assignment, on mortgage, when the residual phrase did not avail to their mind, that you don't even need to have this, that. And again,
the reason why documentation matters is that, and Julius, I'll come to you. The reason why documentation matters is that the argument from Wontumi's lawyers is you're supposed to do that in writing if you are communicating.
No,
hold on. I'm just and you guys will have to allow me to tell you what the other side is saying as well. That's the argument. That look, the assignment ought to be done documented, because once it's not documented, there's no evidence of transfer anyway.
Yeah, I think people are seeking to impose their own understanding on what the provision says, because I have it here. If you look at 14.1, it says a mineral right shall not in the whole or in a part be transferred, assigned or mortgaged. So these are the three key things. And the law say or otherwise. Or otherwise incumbent or dealt in. So apart from these three key phrases that has been used, any other arrangement that will not fall within these things, and the framers envisage the possibility of not having this arrangement codified. So it is only the written document only comes in when the minister is involved. But when it comes to assignment, mortgage, transfer, you don't necessarily have to execute documents. And the other side of the law clearly spells it out. And if you look at the ruling, the judge actually dealt with it extensively. So there is no point. And I'm saying that...
Did you hear what Chairman Wontumi himself said in court? In fact, I believe the judge also spoke about that in the ruling. And saying that Chairman Wontumi's argument, and primarily they relied on him at some point as witness, that he's saying that, look, I didn't ask you to go into either to wells, mining, to do mining, which would be illegal. I only told you to go there and reclaim the land. There's no evidence, I mean, empirically proving that. That indeed he told the guy go and do it. Everything existing now is circumstantial.
So because I think this is not the first time. You see, when the DEA in America busted Guzman El Chapo in Mexico, they didn't have any evidence of his involvement in cocaine activities. So they relied on the key witnesses who were previously working for Guzman. Some were his secretaries, his sicarios, the hitmen, and people who actually carried out the criminal activities under the instruction of El Chapo. They were actually his legs and foot who did all the criminal things. But because America did not have a single evidence, they converted these people into witnesses and used them to prosecute that particular case. So in that instance...
So that's where he fell. The person he had told to go to
this is an engagement between two people. The judge wasn't there. So he will, based on circumstantial evidence, to establish the case. You said you assign him to go and do reclamation. It means that there has been a contact. There is some sort of an exchange between the two. You know each other. You are telling them...
That is not in dispute about...
Exactly. So you said...
In fact, the two of them agree that they're friends or they've known each other.
So you said he should go and do reclamation. He said, no, it's not reclamation. He asked me to go and mine and use the proceed to take care of whatever that I'm doing. Then the judge becomes a neutral arbiter here. But if you look at our adjudicatory process, judges are not investigative kind of individual. They just sit aloof, analyze whatever each side will bring, and then make a judgment on that. So if that is what you're saying, the point is that you ask the person to undertake what you call reclamation. It is a very expensive undertaking. Any financial arrangement, did you give money to do that?
He says he wasn't giving money to carry out.
Yes, and you ask somebody
Chairman Wontumi helped him to procure some
excavators.
Yes, but you use excavators.
And he used his place. So you see, on the balance of the evidence.
If you're doing or carrying out reclamation, are you telling me, Ivan, that you use it?
No. But the point is that
you won't use
the gentleman involved.
You don't expect the gentleman to use his hands. He would do
the gentleman is telling you that he asked me to mine, and indeed there is an evidence of mine.
Saying no, my instructions to you were that carry out reclamation. That's what I told you.
Yes, that is why the judge will have to look at all the relevant facts around the case.
And I'm asking you based on that, because all we are doing now is being circumstantial. The judge says, well, it's because this guy is a small-scale miner. And because he's a small-scale miner and not a professional person who can reclaim a land, there's some doubts.
But there are other considerations.
I'm just laying one of the ground rules. That said that. I'm saying to you that if indeed Chairman Wontumi was cognizant of the fact that this individual is not as advanced to carry out the reclamation.
Yes.
And then he confesses, the individual confesses that, oh, Chairman helped me to buy the equipment. Are you not seeing reasoning in that? No. He was helping him to buy the excavator. You know, like Anthony is now a rich man. He will buy excavator for Chairman.
So you see,
buy excavator.
I understand. These are,
and then you go into the.
You see, these are two people advancing to. These are two people advancing to contesting argument.
Yes.
So everybody want to convince the judge, and you make a point that yes, I asked him to do reclamation. The point is that did you pay? Did you ask him? Did you give? Nothing showed. But the gentleman is telling that he even assisted me in procuring this earth moving equipment. And what I was doing was galamsey. When he was caught on the 16th of April, what was he doing? He was doing illegal mining on the field on his land, meaning
abilities.
Exactly. So you see,
so your point basically is
so my point is that Wontumi case was proven beyond reasonable doubt. His lawyers did not help in the matter in the sense that they underestimated the gravity of the offense. So by the time they realized, things were late. That is why when Akubi realized that it was a bad case, he had to run away. He had to flee. Yes. On the case. On that particular case.
He's back. He's instructed to appeal.
No. On that particular case. So when Atachia came, I cannot fault Atachia because when he came, the case was already bad. Because if you look at some of the tactics he wanted to employ, it was even funny. He was saying that if you look at section 99 2B, the framers did not assign sanctions, and for that matter, he was going to invoke the interpretative jurisdiction of the Supreme Court under 130 by referencing 1911, that before somebody is punished, it must be prescribed in law, written sanctions for it, handed down. But the judge said, it is a matter of legislative construction. For Parliament ought to have added the punishment to A, to B, to C.
But they decided to make
add it to the C. You understand? So it is highly unreasonable for this thing is even plain to somebody who has never been to law school. You understand? Oh, it's quite plain. So it means that.
Well, what are you implying?
I'm playing that it was just the usual tactics, just to delay the process. But the judge will not allow that.
These are seniors.
It doesn't matter. They did not alter that. If you are a senior, you did not alter the Constitution. Yes. And I told you the last time, if you're a lawyer, anything you say about the law is your personal opinion. The only difference between you and the ordinary person is that you have a refined understanding. But if it comes to putting meaning to test in the Constitution, is the judge. And the judge did justice to that. And in refusing the judgment, I think she made a lot of references.
We'll go to that.
The court has given them that room. If somebody indicate to refer a case to the Supreme Court and you think there is no ambiguity, like I argued the last time,
there's no problem. I'll come back to you, Ivan, on that. Julius, my problem with you and by extension the NDC is that look at this. Are you telling me that Chairman Wontumi is the only one engaged in illegal mining? What influenced the Attorney General's decision to zoom in on him? Because you agree, and in fact the NPP guys have been referring you to the comments of President Mahama, who says, even my own appointees, and I'm not the one quoting him, I'm quoting on behalf of the NPP, he says, my own appointees are engaged in illegal mining.
Let me tell you something. If there is a menace, a canker in the system, where there are so many people involved, and you are tracking down those people, and you get one of them, would it be sound reasoning for one to suggest that the one that you have gotten should not be punished because you have not gotten the other?
So was it the only one you got?
No, answer my question.
Exactly.
Would it be sound reasoning?
But my question to you is that
because in any case, should it be more accountability, more enforcement of the law because more people are doing it, or it should be less because more people are doing it?
Have you heard President Mahama say
I'm coming to
that it's easier to prosecute those on the other side?
President Mahama has the tallest record of prosecuting his own appointees than any other president in the history of the Fourth Republic. And if you are interested, we can go specifically into them. His own friend, Abu Gapele, was prosecuted by him. And so any suggestion that President Mahama is not capable of prosecuting his people is completely false. But what I want to draw your attention to is the fact that you cannot say that because more people are doing it, then the result should be less accountability. Because a suggestion that Chairman Wontumi should be let to go because others have not been caught yet would mean less accountability.
We're not asking that you let
what we
go.
should do,
What influences
prosecutorial decision is evidence. It's evidence.
Aside that
there is evidence on record which would convict person A, B, C if they are arraigned before court.
There is accruing to the Attorney General discretionary power. The Constitution enjoins the Attorney General. The Constitution enjoins the Attorney General not to be capricious about it. So there must be an element of accountability when you are exercising your prosecutorial powers.
That is why I'm asking you, Blessed. Can you put before me? Can you put before me now? Can you put before me now? Evidence on record of persons A, B, C, D, which you can argue that if you go before a court of competent jurisdiction, would convict them, but the Attorney General exercises discretion not to arraign them.
You did a 9 months. You did a 9 months. You did a 9 months exercise. Indicting some DCs. Ivan, you recall that case? There was a DC that was, allegedly involved. I mean, that was their accusation. There's also been 1 year, or close to 1 year. I'll allow you to speak. There's also been close to 1 year that since you started the investigation surrounding some individuals, at least I can recall, is it Joseph Yamin? Yes, that we're told. Is being investigated for illegal mining. Are you then telling me?
The question I want to pose to you, Blessed,
are you telling
is it now a case in Ghana that if someone makes political commentary and says that Ivan is involved in illegal mining, and by reason of wanting to ensure accountability, as President of the Republic or as Attorney General, I say Ivan should be referred for investigation, then automatically there's evidence on record to prosecute Ivan.
I'm not saying
is that your suggestion? That is why I am asking you to tell me, Blessed, if you have evidence on record that can prosecute and convict the above names you have mentioned, Yamin and some people you are mentioning, that the Attorney General exercises discretion to let them go.
But is it not questionable
how is it questionable?
It is the decision,
and yet
you've amassed all your arsenals against
what do you mean we've amassed our arsenals against Chairman Wontumi? Wontumi was prosecuted because there is evidence on record that can convict him. So if you are suggesting that anytime someone is accused of engaging in an illegal activity in the absence of evidence, then we should pick political party colors and say that if person A has been prosecuted because there's evidence against him to convict him, then we must pick person B from the other political party in the absence of evidence and prosecute them, and so that it would balance what? Exactly. Prosecutions are a matter of evidence. So what I've been suggesting,
the Attorney General is Minister for Justice. He's not only executing justice, in a parochial way. He's not supposed to do
those are your words to say. Okay. Because the case is that.
Why is it my word though?
On what basis do you conclude that it is parochial?
Why is it taking you 1 year to investigate your own?
Why is it taking us 1 year to investigate? There are other people that are being investigated today that are NPP people. And the practice in Ghana is that you must have some evidence on which you can determine a prima facie case.
In fact, this even calls into question you and your boss, because you control the police service.
Of course.
The police service is in charge of investigations.
You are asking your questions in a very prejudicial manner.
No, but I still have to ask you the question.
You're asking questions in a prejudicial manner because you assume that the moment somebody's name is mentioned, guilty.
I haven't said that guilty.
That is why you are saying you are being prejudicial.
You have all the taxpayers.
Anybody who has followed you and me right now, Blessed, would conclude fairly that you are asking prejudicial questions. It is for the same reason that you will not even allow me to complete one sentence. So if you would allow me...
Julius, you are the Ministry of Interior, isn't it?
Exactly. That is why I'm telling you that investigations are a matter of following trails and coming to a conclusion, and prosecutions are a matter of evidence on record.
Of course they have to.
So if you say that because Wontumi has been convicted, then automatically we must pick an NDC person.
I'm not looking at
that is what you are doing. That is precisely what you and me have spent the last about 10 minutes doing. Prejudicial questions
yes.
with a presupposition that by reason of party coloration, if Wontumi is convicted, then we must find an NDC person that is also convicted.
There's a reason why that matters. There's a reason why that matters.
It matters that we must do that in Ghana. That if party A is convicted without evidence, we must leave party B and convict.
No, not on that assumption, but on the assumption
of from which your questions are proceeded for the...
Because
conflict of interest. So if I don't have evidence, I should go and pick NDC people and go into.
That's not what I'm telling you. But
that is what you've been saying. Because so far, Blessed.
Yeah.
Please.
Okay.
For us to have this conversation.
Okay, you go ahead.
For us to have this conversation fairly, you must be telling me that.
Yes.
I have on NDC person A.
Yes.
Evidence that he has either assigned.
Yes.
Or enabled illegal mining on a concession which has been given to him, similar to the Wontumi case, or differently. There are various ways illegal mining can arise.
Yes.
Or without giving a lawful concession, you know an NDC person A who was mining, and you have evidence of same.
Yes.
And that the Attorney General, in the presence of that evidence, is not prosecuting the NDC person. It cannot just be a reason of you naming people.
But that is not how the law works. This is my perspective, Ivan, and Julius, just hear me out on this. Criminal prosecutions in this country are a preserve of the ruling government. Is that correct?
They are a preserve of the Attorney General, not the ruling government. They are the preserve of the Attorney General. Article 88 of the Constitution has never told the people of Ghana that criminal prosecutions are for the ruling government.
That same Article 88
it is the Attorney General of the Republic.
Yes.
Appointed by the President in his capacity as head of state.
That's why I'm saying
never the ruling party. I don't know where that comes from.
Article 88 makes the Attorney General a Minister of State. Is that correct?
Yes.
That makes him a political appointee. I am telling you.
How is that relevant to the question of prosecution?
Yeah, so my point is that the political question cannot be negated.
No. I disagree.
Because any
you are spending.
I'll give you the time to say the other things. But my point is that you're giving an exclusive power outside of the inherent powers.
So that exclusive power means that I should pick my people in.
We gave you that power.
That exclusive power means that I should randomly pick NDC people.
Yeah, so hold on. Let me come through with the perspective on that. The only way to prove innocence or otherwise, or to indict someone even at the least, is by carrying out investigations.
Yes.
We pay the government, and by extension your ministry, to prosecute and investigate these individuals.
Yes. So when it's not there, we should manufacture it.
If you're prosecuting your friend or a person who belongs to your same political family, right? My suggestion to you is that the issues of conflict of interest ought to be questioned on the part of the government.
What issue of conflict of interest? So far, what you have done is to make very vague and amorphous statements. If you want us to discuss this issue, you must bring particulars. That I have on person A this and this conduct.
Have you seen?
And in the present, relax. Conflict of interest is a question of fact. You must bring the facts.
But there must be the real likelihood.
You don't allow me to complete. You don't allow me to complete even one sentence.
Okay, yes, go ahead.
You don't allow me to complete even one sentence. Conflict of interest is a question of fact. For you to claim conflict of interest, you must produce facts. ABC, that I have seen this person has done this, but because of your position in relation to this person, you have failed to take this action. That is when it becomes conflict of interest. Bless, can I?
Yes, because what you're saying this morning.
Because even in fact, you have not allowed me.
Yeah,
to
you are
complete a single paragraph. How would the audience understand anything?
Challenge people have with the
no. You are making vague statements. Very prejudicial with a conclusion that you have something you do not have.
Okay, I'm saying
so
that.
Let me complete my thought so that the audience will be able to understand.
There's a real likelihood, and Ivan, just permit me for being going back and forth on this.
I'm sure, Blessed, that if you rewind our conversation, you realize that you've not allowed me to even complete the sentence.
I'll give you the chance to flow.
No, you keep saying that, and the time keeps going, and you've not allowed me.
I control the time. Let me
you control the time, but you've not been fair to me. Anybody who is following this conversation would see that you've not been fair to me, even for a minute.
Because
let me make a single complete sentence in this room today so that people can be able to follow my train of thought. You are not. I think that you have deliberately decided that you will not allow me to speak.
I'll give you the time.
I think that you have deliberately decided you will not allow me to speak, which is very unfair. So please, will you allow me to speak?
Yeah, I'll give you that. But after I'm done, this is my point to you. Have you wondered why Chairman Wontumi was not prosecuted by the SWAL NPP administration? Because we had on record the President of the Republic at the time, Nana Akufo Addo, telling us that at the moment,
He was not.
Chairman Wontumi's company, who is now indicted and subsequently leading to his conviction, was not engaged in illegal mining. That's what we're told by the president. And when you have a sovereign say that, that's the end of the matter, because within our constitution, the preserve for prosecution lies with the government. That's the reason, the basis for which I'm flowing on asking the question about accountability on why you are not equally dealing with your people. That's the basis for my question.
And if you allow me to make the point, you get the answers to the question. So would we now have a situation where I am able to complete my
No, go ahead.
Thank you. You have said that the members of the NDC must be prosecuted to demonstrate that there is no conflict of interest in the dealings of the Attorney General.
It's not a matter of mass.
And I am saying that, Blizzard, you have agreed that you will let me speak.
Go ahead.
We have agreed that you will let me speak. And I am saying to you that, Blizzard, if I say Blizzard Soga is conflicted in his duty as a host over here, I must be able to bring facts on record that Blizzard Soga this morning is hosting his own sister or brother, that his own sister or brother has put up conduct ABC, and this conduct in which he is an arbiter places him in a conflict of interest position. If you, Blessed Soga, is saying that the Learned Attorney General is conflicted and is unable to prosecute NDC people, you, Blessed Soga, must be telling me that NDC person Julius Kwame Anthony was seen mining on this particular land, either without a concession or he has the concession and allowed excluded persons to mine on that land, which I have evidence of, and the Attorney General is not prosecuting him. I am saying that you have referred the matter to state institutions to investigate and come out with a conclusion.
Which you work for?
Please. Yes, which I work for. Proudly. Which I work for, to investigate and bring a conclusion. The state institutions are investigating the matter. In the absence of the conclusion, you, Blessed Soga, is telling us that they are failing to do their duty, and that you have evidence to show that they are conflicted.
I haven't had evidence. I'm saying,
how do you come to that conclusion? How do you come to that conclusion that we are being ineffective? What are the metrics? You tell us the metrics of effectiveness in investigation.
What's the update on the Yamin case?
You've not answered my question. You tell us the metrics.
What the update on the case is.
I understand that you are the host, but you can't decide to swing me back and forth without allowing me to complete this.
But I'm saying
so that will serve our audience if I'm able to do that. So you are saying that we have been unable to do that. And if you want us to litigate this matter, instead of litigating it before a court of competent jurisdiction, but in the court of public opinion, you must be willing, Blessed, to tell us those facts so that we litigate it in the court of public opinion. In the court of public opinion today, what do you, Blessed Soga, have on NDC people that you can show them?
I'm not saying
the Attorney General is not acting.
I've never said NDC people are engaged in illegal mining.
So it is just a matter of you putting vague statements out there, obfuscating the matters, trying to balance scales when you don't have any basis to do so. That is all you are doing.
What's the update on
that? That is what you are doing.
What's the update on the Yamin investigation?
It has been investigated by Yoko. And I am saying that
that's not vague. That's not vague to you?
How is it vague?
What's the status of the investigation?
I think that you are deeply committed.
I'm asking you a question about the status
of the effort. No. You are not
telling me investigations are ongoing. It's like it's in the pipeline. That's what every politician says.
Nope. How long has the Attorney General been investigating cases involving even members of the New Patriotic Party? When we came to power, there has been a committee set up by President John Dramani Mahama, which we all know as the Oral Committee. Thousands of cases were made against New Patriotic Party persons. Are all those thousands of cases before court today? Answer me. Why? Is it not because the Attorney General is still investigating those people? But those people are NPP people. So does it mean that any time people make allegations and the Attorney General does not come with a conclusion in support of the allegations, then it automatically means that the Attorney General is failing? That is what you are saying. That is what you are saying. That because it is Yamin, it should have completed in 1 week.
I have not said that.
That is what you said. That is what you are saying. That because it is Yamin, it must conclude in 1 week. And I am telling you that there are other cases of NPP people, thousands of them, filed before the Oral Committee that have not completed. Does it mean the Attorney General is conflicted?
This black box of saying we are investigating ought to be
so
scared. Get down.
Let's speak to the matters which facts exist for, which have been tested before court, not vague amorphous claims from you and prejudicial suggestions of certain conflicts of interest which do not exist. Yeah. Let's speak to them. So can I speak to them now?
You're hiding in a black box.
I am not. I have told you now that there are thousands of cases against NPP people too, which have been filed before that oral committee, for which investigations have not concluded. Yamin's case that you are citing is only one. Of 1,000 cases against NPP people that have not been concluded, and Yamin's own that have not been concluded. And Yamin's case was even brought later than the oral cases. The oral cases were brought in the early days of the administration in January. Yamin's case was brought in 2026 or so. I am asking you, Blessed Soga, that if you insist that when conclusions are not drawn within matters of weeks, as you desire against NDC people, how about the 1,000 NPP people that conclusions have not been drawn? Does it mean the Attorney General is being ineffective with regards to them as well?
Your conclusion, if that's
so you are only bent on drawing what I see as needless balancing of scales, which do not exist. And I must respectfully put that to you, and so that you allow me to speak to the matters of fact and law which are on record before.
Okay, just do that for me. Just do that for me.
Not vague suggestions.
Let's move.
Now, the issue with Chairman Wontumi.
Yes.
I listened to Palgrave Boakye Agyarko sought to suggest to the people of Ghana that there was a constitutional question which should have been referred to the Supreme Court for determination, and in the absence of which referral, make the determination by the judge unlawful and the conviction unfair to Chairman Wontumi. With respect to Palgrave Boakye Agyarko, and even to the learned, his counsel, Atachia. Please, it is just a matter of deliberate ignorance. Deliberate, self-inflicted ignorance. It is not a matter of genuine ignorance. When you go to law school, in the first year, you will be taught about matters of referral to the Supreme Court under Article 130 of the Constitution. And any student of law would have come across the case of Expert Akosa. In Expert Akosa, the courts have outlined the test for referral of issues to the Supreme Court. The test is that there must be a real issue of interpretation. There must be a challenge between the parties as to the meaning which should be placed on a particular issue, a real issue of interpretation. That issue of interpretation must be central to the suit. It must be central to the determination of the outcome of the case. That the Supreme Court should not have already determined that issue, and that the issue should not be clear. There should be ambiguity in the issue. When you read Article 4, Section 14 of the Minerals and Mining Act, and you read Section 99(2) of the Minerals and Mining Act, let's do that for purposes of our audience. And see
we've gone over that. I think
if any vagueness exists over there to be referred to the Supreme Court. In fact, in most of the criminal issues, for example, misdemeanors, most of them, the law does not say that when you commit so and so, you'll be sentenced to 10 years or 2 years in prison. It only says that the person commits a misdemeanor. Right. And there's an omnibus provision in the same law that has provided for what sentence you should suffer if you commit misdemeanor. It is the same thing that is in the Minerals and Mining Act. So the learned Atachia, I don't think he is ignorant. It is deliberate imposition, deliberate infliction of ignorance on oneself to achieve a political purpose. It is not genuine ignorance. He knows precisely what the law is. And I accord him that respect. I accord him, that capacity to be able to deduce this with the level of seniority that he has. So it is deliberate infliction of ignorance to achieve political ends. Then they claim that Wontumi is a political prisoner. Why? And the only reasons they could adduce to that is that he's the chairman of the New Patriotic Party in the Ashanti region and all of those things that they said. There are two main regions in this country since 1992 that no matter what happens in elections, they vote for the New Patriotic Party. I think except 92 and 96 when Eastern Region voted for President Rawlings. Why didn't we pick up the chairperson of the Eastern Region or New Patriotic Party? Because his only reason is that he leads a region that often supports the NPP and all of those things. Why haven't we picked him up? Today, the only person, if we have to do it statistically, based on the recent poll that we went to, who carries influence closest to President Mahama in this country, The poll tells us is Dr. Mahamadu Bawumia. Is it 38.2 or 41? Which of them? There has been a confusion about that.
That's what I think.
Why haven't we picked up Bawumia instead if it is just about politics? It is about law. And this whole issue also, that in the absence of documents, we cannot establish guilt of persons. Permit me to sound a bit legalese. When it comes to evidence, evidence can be documentary, evidence can be direct, which means typically I have seen you in flagrant delicto doing the thing. Evidence can be direct. Evidence can be documentary. Evidence can even be traditional, which means we would tell historical facts to show that evidence. When it comes to circumstantial evidence, the basic rule of law is that the facts on record must lead irresistibly to guilt. And that if there is anything that will lead to a suggestion of innocence, then same to be exercised on behalf of the accused person. And when it comes to criminal prosecutions, the test is reasonable doubt, not frivolous doubt. Because frivolous doubts, silly doubt, anyone at all can entertain it. Reasonable doubt. That is the test. And I am going to, for our purposes, I want to silence this whole conversation about absence of evidence. There was evidence on record. For the judge to draw that evidence on record, he must look at the circumstances, the facts of things that happened, and see if to a reasonable mind there will be any doubt as to the guilt of the person. Chairman Wontumi was assigned the Sammy Boy concession as the lawful owner. Chairman Wontumi invited a person who is a small-scale miner. The person does not do reclamation. Under Section 59 of the Minerals and Mining Act, the persons who do reclamation must have a license for that purpose. The person has no such license. What the person is known for doing is small-scale mining. That is the person he invited. Fact number one. I want the audience in the studio to listen to this fact. Fact number one. The person he invited is a small-scale miner. He has no license in reclamation. The law says for you to do reclamation, you must have a license from the Minerals Commission under Section 59. That is fact number one. Pay attention. Fact number two. He says for purposes of the reclamation, he says the person should plant coconut, kube on the land, and take proceeds from the coconut to pay for the reclamation.
His words against that.
Yes, I will deal with that. I will deal with that. While the other person is saying that, he said I should mine the unmined portions of the land and take the proceeds to pay myself and use parts to do the reclamation. The judge has to weigh these two facts. He brought an expert witness, Wisdom Gomashi, to court. The expert witness was asked, how is reclamation done?
He says it's done with money.
He says it's done with money, and it is extremely expensive in millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. And we are talking about kube. I want you to pay attention to the facts. We are talking about kube, millions of dollars. Chairman Wontumi in court was not able to provide to the court what agreement he has for paying the person. The person is able to provide what agreement he claimed they have for paying, which is the mining. And reclamation is also expensive. Are you following? Chairman Wontumi wrote a letter on Akunta Mining's letterhead, complaining about other people interfering with mining on the Sammy Boy concession and asking for the protection of the Western Regional Security Council. Chairman Wontumi took the second prosecution witness to a supplier of mining equipment
and helped him to
acquire those mining equipment. You tell me that with these facts on record, does it lead to a deliberate assignment of the land to the person for purposes of mining or for purposes of planting kube? You tell me.
All right.
You tell me.
All right.
Great. The fabrics upon which prosecution can be built upon when investigations are properly done. Yes, it is quite legitimate for anybody to argue that certain persons within the NDC have been accused and there are allegations and ought to be investigated. That is quite legitimate. But you see, when you bundle this whole thing together and seek to promote a section of it, then you are not being fair. Because as it stands now, like Julius rightly pointed out, there are hundreds of people who are already going through the mill of investigation. Wontumi's case dates back to antiquity. You should know that.
Oh, no. It's not antiquity.
It dates back to antiquity. You see, his personal.
A few years ago.
No. His personal involvement in galamsey.
We knew Chairman Wontumi to be a chairman of the Ashanti.
Oh, his involvement in galamsey dates back to antiquity. If you even go back to 2013, he was involved back and forth.
That's your claim.
It's on record. It's on record, and there are a lot of.
In fact, there's a civil case he himself took against him.
Yeah, the state.
And in the civil case, the finding of the court was that he was engaged in an illegality and cannot.
So that's the answer.
Oh, his involvement.
And ordinarily, President Akufo Addo should have immediately started a criminal prosecution against him. That finding of the court.
So my point is that it's quite appropriate for anybody to make such demands that NDC people should be investigated. But the point is that are you aware, as it stands now?
Are you for real on this matter that NDC people shouldn't be investigated?
Is that what I said?
No, you're very prejudicial.
I want to hear.
I said it is legitimate. I said it is legitimate for anybody to argue at this point in time that NDC people should be investigated. You understand? But you see, when you start pushing it on a sectional line, that is where you make a mistake. Because as it stands now, there are a lot of people, including people who were investigated by Professor Frimpong Boateng. The last time I came here, I told you there are a lot of people sitting in that particular report. So calling on the NDC people to be prosecuted, you should at the same time be asking for that particular thing, that particular individual.
You're basically making my point for
exactly. But you're making it confirms the point that
you're making my point.
It confirms the point that
if assuming without admitting that whatever it is, do you believe what Professor Frimpong Boateng said, or are you led to believe that what he has substance?
No, at least he did an investigation, so it premised on something. You understand?
So you're led to believe
that prima facie can be.
My question to you and Julius, and I've asked Julius the same question.
Yes.
Why was it the case that after President Akufo Addo said Wontumi wasn't engaged in illegal mining, the AG could not get up on his own and prosecute the matter?
Yes, he didn't.
Yes, he didn't. It means that there's a political link, right?
Okay.
To this whole. So
in the present situation,
why should we answer a question that should be directed to Alfred Yeboah? Why should we be the ones answering that?
So in the present, in the instance,
like it's irrelevant.
But why should we be the ones answering it?
But even in the instance case, there is no evidence you can adduce to prove the fact that the president has on record
told the agent not to prosecute.
So it's a process. So let's give it a time. You understand?
But that president is gone.
No, I'm talking about the persons you're talking about. And for me, even Yamin has publicly challenged the AG, and I think you should be interested because the person being accused has publicly challenged the AG to investigate him. For me, that is boldness on his part because at this point in time.
And what's Yamin's point?
He's asking that he's not involved in anything and that he's being castigated against. You understand? So the AG should investigate him so that at least a closure will be brought to this particular matter.
Should that end the prosecution?
No. I'm saying that this is the person who has been accused and he is fighting that he should be investigated. You so the courage alone should tell you that he's not sitting idle. And today, if you're accused of having involved in galamsey and you don't fight it, it will come back to hurt you. You understand? So I think that point has to be established. It's a process we are going. Wontumi's involvement date back to antiquity. Now a closure has been brought to one of the issues.
Ivan, you see how you're...
several of it.
Why are you not hard on the prosecutor? And of course, that's why I'm raising the issue. And I brought that to Julius earlier. That the Ministry of Interior has the police service there. These people are supposed to be doing the investigations. If they ever... are directed, which the minister has power to do so.
So have you had...
water down the investigation.
Have you had
that will have
that's a prejudicial suggestion. Who told them to water it down? Who told them to water it down? Who told them to water it down?
You said
that. And Blessed, you raised this issue first, and I told you that oral investigation.
I get that.
Thousands of NPP people were starting. No. Please. Does it mean that the president or the minister has directed that we should water down
But
investigations?
there's no transparency. So tell us what
do you mean there's no transparency?
What's the
my point is that it's an ongoing investigation, and the AG will have to just go bit by bit, taking every case by itself, you understand? So I think that is exactly what he's doing now. So now Wontumi's matter has been brought to closure. Let's watch out and see. Yes, we are entitled to put pressure on the Attorney General to go ahead with the investigation and the prosecution. And that's exactly what we are doing. That is what we are asking them to do.
Say some.
I'm saying that we are asking the
tell Julius is right here. Tell him that you
stop being mischievous.
For pressure to investigate. You are not interested in investigation. You are interested in a conclusion you have already drawn without basis. That is what it is. You are not interested in investigation.
Let me also clear
this point. It doesn't look like you're interested.
There is this.
Ivan, tell the gentleman that he's got to do.
He's not the one investigating.
Investigation is a matter of being open to finding facts, not determining facts and chasing them. What you are doing is determining facts and asking someone to chase them. That's what you are doing. Because an investigation has not ended, but you are complaining that people are not being prosecuted.
No, I'm saying you are
in the absence of facts.
We're not providing us with.
That is what you are doing, and that's marks of prejudice, and that's marks of needless attempt to balance.
I think we need to attach some bit of seriousness to this whole thing. You understand? Because you see,
investigations are not serious.
No, I'm saying that the prosecution and everything, we need to attach some seriousness. Stop being mischievous. We need to attach some seriousness to it, because here is the case. Wontumi has gone through a court of competent jurisdiction and has been pronounced guilty by the court based on fact as established by the judge.
Yes.
You have a general secretary who takes up a microphone and in front of the camera was virtually voting emotions, telling people that the person is a political prisoner without availing his mind to the basis upon which those conclusions were made. And for me, that's quite unfortunate, because the person talking in that particular press conference is a lawyer, and he ought to have availed his mind to the basis upon which this particular conclusion was arrived.
Okay,
and then my final point is that some people argue that Wontumi was personally not involved in galamsey. Go back to history. Those who were involved, Abu Gapele, he was charged with abetment by facilitation. Chachuchi Kata was accused to have financial loss. You know what he did? You know what? GMPC invested in a company called Valley Farms.
Go back to that.
Yes, Valley Farms. And at the end of the day, he signed guarantees. He did not take one cedi. And I'm telling you that the 703 was weaponized in 2019. That you do not even need to involve yourself in galamsey. If you instigate, you cancel, call somebody, and there are evidence to that particular regard, you will be found guilty. You understand? So if there is anybody at all to blame, and the sanctions that people are saying they should be reduced, I think the statutes, that is a statute prescription.
Okay, great.
15 and then 25.
I want to hear from Kwesi before we do any other thing. Why is it that the General Secretary of the NPP says that, quote, there's no evidence for which Wontumi has been jailed?
Good morning to you. Good morning to colleagues. Good morning to our audience. Before I start, Blessed, I think that we should allow each other to make our points, and then when we finish, we can respond accordingly. Let's, with due respect, try as much as possible to avoid the interruptions and interjections so we can have a very productive discussion, because we are also educating people. People are listening to us. They want to learn. Now, the first point is that the NPP's concern is not with the judiciary. The NPP's concern is not with any judge. The concern of the NPP and the concern of the General Secretary is with the conclusions and the reasoning, what the lawyers call the ratio of this very decision that I have here. It is the position of the NPP that this very decision that led to the sentencing, the conviction and subsequent sentencing of Chairman Wontumi is not grounded in law. That is the position of the party. It is the position of the party that the entire Wontumi prosecution was shrouded in politics and not law. Now, going into the details of this matter, I am aware that counsel for Chairman Wontumi, the learned otchere, last night I was with him. So far, he's been able to deduce about 20 grounds of appeal. I am very sure that on Monday, God willing, he will be filing a notice of appeal at the Court of Appeal. Now, upon examining this very judgment, I will speak on three main things today. Now, the first point is the matter of constitutional issue that the Learned Counsel for Chairman Wontumi raised in the matter. It is settled law, and it's actually a matter of constitutional jurisprudence that the obligation or the duty or the jurisdiction to interpret positions or interpret statutes and other laws are the sole reserves of the Supreme Court, per Article 130 of the Constitution. Now, Counsel Samuel Atta makes a very simple point. His point is that the very offense for which Chairman Wontumi is being prosecuted, that is Section 99(2)(b) of Act 702, does not provide for any stated punishment. Now, if you go to Article 1911 of our Constitution clearly provides that an accused person, or the Constitution provides that every offense shall have its accompanying prescribed punishment. That shall be in written law or provided by statute. But in the prevailing circumstances, Section 99(2)(b) does not have its prescribed punishment in any written law. And so it was the position of Counsel Atta that also, based on the decisions of the Supreme Court, for instance, in the case of ex parte Akosa, my brother here, I have just been informed that recently wrote his law school final exams. I'm sure he's aware of the case of ex parte Akosa, where the Supreme Court detailed the guidelines for constitutional interpretation.
He was just talking about that moments ago.
And one of the main reasons, or one of the main things that underscores this principle is the fact that when there are two rival meanings to a provision of law, the Supreme Court held in that case that when there are two rival meanings, the trial judge must stay his hand and refer the matter to the Supreme Court, or refer to upstairs, what they describe as upstairs, or the Supreme Court. Now, counsel,
when there's ambiguity.
Yes, and that they are two rival meanings are placed on the definition or the interpretation of any statute, the trial judge must not arrogate unto himself powers of the Supreme Court to interpret the statute. Now, let's be very clear. It is not every statutory dispute or every dispute over statutory provisions that requires that the trial judge stays his hand and references the matter to the Supreme Court. No, other than that, people would abuse that. And so the Supreme Court has held that the trial judge is not obliged, that in every the mere fact that a lawyer says that this is a matter of statutory interpretation and so you just hold proceedings and go to the Supreme Court. No. But the Supreme Court was clear that where two rival meanings and also where the statutory provision is unclear, it's ambiguous, it's vague, then the trial judge must hold proceedings and go to the Supreme Court for the Supreme Court to bring finality and clarity to the such statutory provision under dispute.
The judge answers that or attempts to address that in the ruling.
Yes, I have.
And you don't side with the view.
And I'm saying that we don't
that's
side. Yes, I made that
right.
that foundational point that that's one of our concerns regarding this ruling. And so the Learned Counsel Samuel Atta makes the point that the trial judge, Her Ladyship Justice Audrey Kokuviti, whom I have a lot of respect for, like I've indicated, our concern is not with any judge or the judiciary. It is with the conclusions and reasoning of this decision. And so Counsel Samuel Atta makes the point that in his considered opinion, there was a constitutional matter in this regard, that the very punishment that is connected to count 2, or that was connected to count 2 and count 4 of the charges against Chairman Wontumi has no prescribed punishment in any written law, and in his opinion is in contravention with Article 1911 of the 1992 Constitution, and so therefore the Supreme Court ought to bring clarity and finality to this very provision of law, and so sought to stay the hand of the judge so that the Supreme Court can deal with it. But the judge disagreed with him. and went ahead to give her ruling. Now, it is the position of the NPP that the judge should have stayed her hand for the Supreme Court to deal with this ambiguous area of law.
Okay, for the sake of time, are you able to tell us? Are you able to tell us why the NPP feels that address, right, by the judge on the matter is unreasonable? Are you able to demonstrate that, sir?
That's what I've just told you.
When is my turn? You let me speak.
That's what I've just told you. Now, the second point. Now, the second point that the NPP also finds a bit troubling.
No, but because you have to address this question.
In this judgment, I'll address your question. I've read your question.
Yeah. No, but I'm saying you have to. We don't have all of this.
I've actually addressed your question.
My point to you is, why do you feel that the judge's reasoning for saying there's no ambiguity, right, lacks reasoning? Her point is that all you have to demonstrate in these counts you're talking about is to demonstrate contravention. And once you contravene, then the subsequent clauses or whatever apply to you. I'm saying, why do you feel that is not grounded in law?
Good.
And not just saying, well, you don't disagree, you don't agree with her.
And I'm just making the point to you that in the it is the considered opinion of the party.
Yes.
That this section 99(2)(b,
yes,
upon which Chairman Wontumi was convicted, does not have its accompanying punishment written or prescribed in any law.
And I'm saying the judge has addressed that by saying also.
And I'm saying that we disagree with it. And I'm saying that we disagree with it, and that is why we are going on appeal. That's what I'm saying.
So why do you disagree with it? On what ground?
And I'm saying I disagree with it because I think that the judge should have stayed her hand for the Supreme Court to deal with this matter.
No, but you're not answering my question. My question.
I don't know the answer you expect, but let me make.
So I can't ask you questions.
And I've answered you, and you think my answer is not satisfactory, and so let's.
I'm saying it's not satisfactory.
But you are just telling me I have
a different question. That's what I'm telling you. I'm saying that there's a reasoning given by the judge in the ruling as to why she would overlook, or even if not overlook.
And I'm saying that the party disagrees with the reasoning of the judge.
On what point of law? That's what I'm asking you.
That the judge should have stayed her hand based on ex parte Akosa, the case of the Supreme Court, and then refer the matter to the Supreme Court for constitutional interpretation.
Even that's the position of ambiguity.
That is in your opinion and in the opinion of the judge.
Okay, right, okay.
I have just mentioned to you that the Supreme Court has held that in circumstances where there is no ambiguity, the judge is not obliged to do so. And I have just demonstrated that in these prevailing circumstances, there is clear ambiguity, and there's a clear contravention between a statute and a constitutional provision. And so the judge ought to have stayed her hand for the Supreme Court to deal with the matter. Now, my second point on this matter is that we've all been told in this studio that Chairman Wontumi was convicted and sentenced based on circumstantial evidence. My brother here sought to explain what circumstantial evidence is. For all those watching and learning, circumstantial evidence is simply putting the pieces of event and occurrences together. The way you put all these occurrences and pieces of events together, it points to but one irresistible conclusion. Emphasis on but one irresistible conclusion, that the person who is standing trial is guilty. Circumstantial evidence should point to only but one conclusion. Now, in the case of Chairman Wontumi, the judge has acknowledged that there is no direct evidence against Chairman Wontumi. And this entire judgment and 20 years sentence is based on pieces of evidence that the judge put together, or pieces of occurrences that the judge put together. And the judge primarily based her argument on the testimony of the prosecution witnesses under oath. Now, when you testify under oath, you are described to have made a positive judicial confession. In other words, you are telling the truth. So, the prosecution witnesses under oath claim that Chairman Wontumi gave the land to them for purposes of mining to defray their subsequent cost of reclamation. Chairman Wontumi also testified under the same oath and made a positive judicial confession that he gave the land to his accusers, the prosecution witnesses, his accusers, for purposes of only reclamation. So now you realize that the evidence becomes oath against oath. Is that also? Now, it's a settled law that when issues of oath against oath arise, the issue must be resolved in favor of the accused person.
This is because the burden of proof in criminal trial requires a proof beyond reasonable doubt. The Supreme Court has held that the proof beyond reasonable doubt means that proof beyond every shadow of doubt, which means there should not be any scintilla of doubt regarding the burden.
Is that your authority? Is that your authority for saying? Is that your authority for saying that if two pieces of
I am making my point.
No, I am making my question. I'm saying that. Are you saying that your legal authority for saying this is that when two evidence or individuals are using evidence clash, then automatically the judge is enjoined by law to favor the accused? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
What's your authority?
Yes, I'm saying that when it comes to the oath against oath principle.
Yes, I'm saying what's your authority on that?
There are several authorities.
But let me make my point. Let me make my point. What's your authority on that?
There are several. When you think that,
what's your authority on that? You said just told me we're educating people. No, that's why I'm asking him. So calm down. My question is, what's your authority on that? So we make progress.
Are you done? Can I make my point?
But I'm asking you, what's your authority on that?
And I'm saying that it's a settled law.
Where?
That unless you want to contradict me.
No, but you are educating us, isn't it?
I'm saying
you're
that.
Educating us.
And I'm making the point that if you look at the burden of proof, if you allow me land, you appreciate what I'm saying.
No, you just said that.
But if you don't allow me to land, how would you appreciate what I'm saying? I'm saying that in circumstances of oath against oath, the law requires that per the burden of proof, which is proof beyond reasonable doubt, that oath against oath is resolved in favor of the accused person. Because the duty to prove the guilt of the accused person is beyond reasonable doubt, and it is imposed on the prosecution. And that the prosecution must establish that this person who is standing trial is guilty by all measures and standards.
Deductive reasoning.
By all measures, I'm not doing deductive reasoning.
Yeah, because you're talking about our principle. You're talking about.
That's up to you. That's up to you. But let me make my point.
Yeah. No, but I've got to ask you the question. You can't come on this platform and not allow me to ask you questions. But I will ask you regardless of.
Nobody is saying don't. Nobody is saying don't.
I have to ask you because you just told me you're educating people.
Nobody is saying don't ask questions. But when you ask the question, you should also give me the right to respond or to speak.
But I still have to ask you further questions.
And I'm not saying don't ask me the question. Okay, ask all your questions. When you finish, then I answer.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.